Hello everyone, I'm Professor Lu from BA Department in Taiwan Tech. So today we are going to learn flow control. In today's content, it's included if-else, flow control, and also for loop and while loop. Although these things are very complicated, but I want to start with the most basic statement to help you understand how to use it, the most simple version. Okay, we start with if-else. When you use if, at first you type if and put your judgment condition. Then you put a colon. Then indent. Then you can see step 1. That means if the condition is true, it will go to statement 1. Then so the statement 1 is directly after the if condition, directly after this statement, directly after this syntax. You put a colon, you have an indent, then this part is statement 1. However, if you want to do something else, if the condition is not hold, if the condition not true, you use else. So it's very straightforward. If it's true, it goes to statement 1. If not true, then go to statement 2. Okay? So when I say condition, you may get confused, but it's actually very easy to understand this part. If you want to judge if something is equal, if they are the same, you use two equal symbol here. If you want to test if it's unequal, it looks like that. And if you want to do larger or equal, smaller or equal, you can see those operators are very common to use with the if function. Okay? So let's move on. So for example, if I want to judge if my score is high enough to pass a course. So first of all, we have input, please enter your score. For example, I didn't do well. I get a 59 score. After that, it will take the score to do the judgment. If the score is larger or equal to 60, then it's print pass. However, if it's not higher than 60, it's become fail. So in this situation, I got a fail. However, if I do well, in this time, I have a score higher than this judgment, then I got a pass. I print a pass, something like that, right? It's just the most basic syntax in if-else. Let's move on. Sometimes some more senior programmer, they like to write if-else in only one line. So in this situation, you can consider we separate to two parts. First, we write the action if the statement is true, if the condition is true, so true action. Second, if condition. Third, you write else and put the action if the condition is not true, so else and another action. Okay, so I know it's not maybe hard, not easy to understand. Maybe we can just provide an example. So here I write, please enter your email. Please enter email and save the input in a variable named email. So like this one, I say we separate to three parts. The first one is true action. If the condition is true, then print thanks. Second part is the if condition. So what we really want to judge is if the symbol in the email variable. So if the user didn't put the symbol in the email, basically this means something wrong, right? So in that situation, it goes to else. In the else, they print, please check your input again. So let me try it. If I write something without this symbol, That means it's something wrong. It's not a correct email. So please check your input again. However, if I write something and I go with at symbol, then that's correct. It may be correct. So it's kind of like a judgment to help you to prove something wrong. Let's move on. So this one is the if-else function in one line. So consider that if I don't want to do all of them in one line, if I separate them, it will look like that. First, we input the email, then we go to the if, our judgment here, to see if this symbol in the input variable. If true, then print thanks. If not true, print please check your input again. So basically the same thing, but if you want to write more concise, you can use this way. But to be honest, I will suggest you try to avoid this programming way, because sometimes it's make yourself confused. So only if you are very senior, you are very experienced, then try to avoid write this way. But you may see this type of coding in some of the code from senior programmer, okay, just to let you know. Okay, let's move on. Consider that if we want to judge more than one condition, so maybe we have condition 1. If condition 1 true, it's go to action 1. But we also have second condition, condition 2, then do the second action. And also if neither condition 1 nor condition 2 is true, then we have other actions. So in that situation, we need if, elif, and else function. So it's a 3 syntax combination. Condition 1 go with if. Condition 2 go with elif. The elif actually is an abbreviation for else if. But if you write else if, the program won't know if this one is else or this one is if. So it's become a combined words, means else if. So become elif, elif. That means your second if. Oh, okay. So consider that when you write this way, you have 2 judgment, condition 1 and condition 2, and you have 3 different outcomes. Okay, so for example, we take this one as example. Maybe you ever heard in supply chain management, we have a table for evaluation your supplier. So for example, we have 2 suppliers, supplier A and supplier B. Each of them gets some score from maybe your staffs. They maybe do some judgment. So we use, okay, we already learned this part. We use input combined with map. So which means we will input multiple variables in the same time, and we save those multiple values in a list, and the list called score A. So similarly, we do the same thing for score B, for supplier B, okay? Then after we have those scores, we do average. So sum score A divided by length of score A. So it basically means the average. Remember, sum means no matter how many scores in this variable, it will add up, sum up all of them. The length of score A means divided by how many variables. So if I have 3 scores, it will divide it by 3. If I have 4 scores, then divided by 4, something like that. So after that, we have average A, average B, then we do the judgment. Situation 1, average A larger than average B, then we say please cooperate with supplier A. However, if opposite, average B is larger, then we say please cooperate with supplier B. However, we have the third situation, right? If their scores are equal, then it is a tough decision, we need more information. So something like that. So we have low score for supplier A, and maybe we have even one more judgment, one more score. But to fairly compare them, we use average. So in this situation, after average, the average score for supplier A is still higher than B, so the computer tells us please cooperate with supplier A. Okay, so it's a very simple version of, for example, some expert system. They have very similar structure based on the input and tell you the advice. Okay, you may wonder how many LF we can use. Actually unlimited. For example, we want to judge after we get your final score. What will be the later score, later grade you will get? So maybe we have multiple later grade can be the outcome. If larger than 950 but lower than 1000, then it goes to A+. Similarly, if over 900 but less than 950, it's become A, and so on. So if I put, for example, I get a very good outcome, I got 930, and then I get A. Similarly, if I didn't do well, I get fail because lower than 300. If I do something else, something wrong, then tell us, the system tell me it's error. Okay, so you can see we have a lot of LF to do different judgment. So it's the standard structure if you want to use if, LF, and else. It go with this sequence, and you can use multiple LF, actually as many as you need, as many as you want. Okay, let's move on. We go to for loop. For loop. The for loop is kind of like iterate through a sequence of values, and the values is kept in the variable. So usually when we use loop, we need a variable to control the flow, And the sequence of a variable, or I should say the variable can be a number, can be a content in a string, can be a content in a list, in a tuple, or even in a file. So the sequence may not always be a number. The variable can be other things, maybe a string. That also work. But we first start with the simple one. We go with number. So for example, for I in range 5, so the range is used to tell the program what will be the range, start from where and to where. So if you only put one input, the number means the end position. So since we say end in number 5, so that means it will go through from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but end in 5, so 5 is not included. Very similar to what we learned in the index system. You can put up to 3 parameters. The first one is the start position, second is the end position, and third is the separate. So maybe we start from the first 1 and 2. For example, we from 1 to 6, that means we print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can change my start position, then this time becomes 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the first place is the start position. Second one is the end position, and remember, end position is not included. If I want to print not every number, but once every 2 numbers, so you can see I use a separate equal to 2, so it becomes 0, 2, 4, right? So it will will jump one number every time. Okay, similarly, you already learned it. We combine for loop when we create a list. So now we have a list named square. The square content in the square is a lot of numbers. Each of them become a power of 2. So for example, I want to calculate the square number for 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then I can do this, right? We have a range from 1 to 5. So 5 is not included. So it's become 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared. Okay, so something like that. We can combine for loop when we create other variables, especially for list. It's very common to see it. Okay, let's move on. Next one, I want to tell you, sometimes we can put an inner loop in an outer loop. That means a double loop. Some people call it double loop or double for, or nested loop. Okay, nested loop. Nested loop. Some people also call this name. So in nested loop, that means you see a loop in another loop. So for example, if I want to create a 99 table, so I need one variable to control the first number, a second variable to control the second variable. So you can see first I have an outer loop control for the first number. I call it I. So the I range is from 1 to 10. Okay, maybe you can start from easy one. 1 to 3. So it's become a 2 table. Okay. So you can see first in the outer loop, the first time I equal to 1, then I move on to the statement. The statement, and in the statement I create an inner loop. So it's control for j, and j in range 1 to 3. So basically 1 and 2. So the first time I equal to 1, j equal to 1. So I print I times j equal to the result. So I equal to 1. 1 times 1 equal to 1. Okay, but next, because j have two values, 1 and 2, so second time, I still 1, but j is 2, so 1 times 2 become 2. So, did you see that? In the second time, the outer loop, I still equal to 1, but the inner loop for j repeats twice. So, after we finish the first inner loop of j, we jump out and we do the next thing, print one empty line. Then we move on because I have second value, I equal to 2. So this time I equal to 2, then we move on to the inner loop. In inner loop, j have two value, 1 and 2. So you can see the second time I equal to 2, but we repeat twice because j have two value. After its end, we print an empty line. So if you understand this part, if I want change to 99 table, I will change the end position to 10, then it's become a 99 table. And every time I change, I use an empty line to tell us the outer loop. Every time the outer loop finish and I add 1, then I put an empty line here. So it's become a 99 table. So it's a very basic structure for nested loop. So you have one loop inside another loop. It's called nested loop. Okay, let's move on. The second type of loop is called while loop. The while loop a little bit different. So first we compare the for loop, what we just learned, to while loop. The while loop, you also need to create a variable to control the loop. But usually, we set up the value of the variable, control variable, outside the loop. So for example, I have a variable called number. So number equal to 1, that's the initial value of the variable. Then in the while function, I need to write while and go with the judgment condition. If the judgment condition is true, then the while loop will repeat. Here my judgment is if the number is less than or equal to 3. If this statement is true, I need to run the statement after the indent. Okay, so in this situation, I want to print a number. After I print a number, I also want to update the value of number. The way I update is the old value plus 1 and become the new value in this variable. So when you see this one, some people may think it's a little bit weird why we have two variables have the same name and they still work. Because in Python, when they see the syntax, they first go with the right hand side, use the original value. For example, in this case, the old value, number equal to 1. So it's become 1 plus 1. So this part become 2. Then give the value 2 to the number to update the variable. Okay. So it's just the syntax in this language. So when you want to update a value, you can use the same variable name, and the right hand side will go first to update the value, then store the value to the variable. Okay, so you can see, maybe we start with this one. So you can see we print 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because the number, not until number larger than 3, it will be repeat. So you have to keep in mind, when you write the while, you need a judgment condition, and the judgment condition need be able to update. The variable need be able to update in a statement. Otherwise, it's become a endless loop. For example, if I do that, I didn't do any update statement for our variable, our control variable, then this become endless loop. It won't stop. Remember how to stop it? You can click this one or use the kernel interrupt. Okay, so when you see this one is become endless loop, you need to interrupt it. And it's because you didn't put the syntax to update your control variable. So remember, you need the update statement to help you control the flow, to help the while condition have able to be stopped after some iterations. After you repeat few times, it's supposed to be able to stop. Okay. So similarly, if I want to do the same thing with for loop, maybe I will write like this one. So I have a for, and I put the variables inside the for function. So we use number to control the for loop. I have a range from 1 and end in 4 and print a number. It's basically the same thing. But it's also very clear to see when you use while loop, you need to define your variable outside the while loop. And also you need to remember write the statement to update the variable and make sure the condition in some situation it will stop. Otherwise it's become an endless loop. So slightly different. Okay, let's move on. Let me provide you some example. So you probably know the factorial function. For example, 1 factorial equal to 1, 2 factorial equal to 2 times 1, 3 factorial equal to 3 times 2 times 1. Or you can say 3 factorial equal to 3 times 2 factorial, right? So if you understand this math function, you can write a while loop to calculate the factorial. So first of all, we need two variables, a and b. A is used for the how say that? For example, a factorial. So a can equal to 1, 2 factorial, a equal to 2. And b is the value of the factorial after the factorial function. So for example, I want to calculate factorial from 1 to 10. So I want to use a to control this 10 rounds, 10 loops, 10 iterations. Okay, so I have a, and I also have b to help me calculate. So b become b times a, b times a. So in the first round, a equal to 1, b equal to 1. So the first time b equal to 1. Then we print a factorial equal to b. Then a update by add 1, by adding 1. So first time a equal to 1, b also equal to 1. Second time a equal to 2, b become 1 times 2, because in this situation, the second round, a already be updated to 2, but the old value of b is still 1. So after 1 times 2, the second time, b become 2, and now b become 2. And third time, the third round, because by the end of second round, a also be updated to 3. So third round, now a equal to 3, a becomes 3. 3 still fulfill this requirement, still satisfy this judgment. So keep running. And this time, a equal to 3 and b become 2. So the new value of b become 2 times 3 equal to 6. Okay, so you can see it's kind of like if 3 factorial, it's become 3 times 2 factorial. The 2 factorial is the old value of b, and 3 is the new a value, something like that. So it's keep running until we finish the 10 factorial calculation. If you want to do even larger number, it still work. And you can see the factorial, the number grows very fast, Okay, let's move on. We already see the foolproof mechanism in the email input. If without the @ symbol, then it will tell you need to input again. But now consider if you want to enter the user's birth year. Maybe we also need a reasonable range. So first we ask them to enter birth year. If I write something correct, reasonable, then it's provide the correct outcome. Your age is, we use the current year minus the birth year. So it's become the user's age. However, if I write something wrong, if I wrongly put a unreasonable number, then the loop can help me do the judgment. So if the number is too large, even larger than the current year, the range of the birth year is wrong. It will remind you the range of the birth year is wrong, and then ask you to input your birth year again. If I do something wrong again, it will keep remind you until you do something right, something reasonable. So that's also another foolproof mechanism. Sometimes they use while loop to tell you keep update until the answer is right, the answer is reasonable. Okay, so that's the content I want to share with you in these online courses. So for advanced skill for if-else function, also the for loop and the while loop, I will teach you in our physical class. Thank you for your time. See you in our physical class.